Welcome to Da Headlines. I'm Li Wei Cai. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in today's show, Tzu Chi's free dental service for the homeless in LA and the United States helps those who cannot afford treatment regain a bright smile. We go to Indonesia's capital of Jakarta to see if the Angke River is still clear and litter-free after Tzu Chi cleaned it up and helped relocate its residents 10 years ago. Later, we meet a hearing-impaired girl who not only plays the piano but also plays sports and represented her country for swimming in the 2009 Summer Deaf Olympics. The Chinese New Year this year begins on Thursday, February 3rd, and one of the traditions to celebrate this festive holiday is to start with a clean slate by giving your home a good cleanup. However, for many of Tzu Chi's more frail care recipients, a cleanup is not an easy task. After heart surgery and now afflicted with cataracts, Mr. Chen and his wife from Luzhou, a new Taipei city, Taiwan, are thankful to the volunteers who recently came to help restore the shine that their house hasn't seen in years.
In a relay of love, Tzu Chi volunteers clear out care recipient Mr. Chen's garbage and broken furniture, giving a makeover to his house before the Lunar New Year. Kitchen, walls, lights, every detail is tended with care. The makeover continues in the living room, where Grandpa Chen and his wife are being transformed with a new haircut. The couple breaks into tears seeing that so much effort has been put into their home. Seeking nothing in return, volunteers are delivering warmth in this cold winter to those in need.
Looks like they're all set for Happy New Year indeed. Now we move to Penang, Malaysia, where students from the Department of Social Work from Taiwan's Tzu Chi University recently went for a week-long seminar. Some of the college students spared some time from this special trip to visit the indigenous people, Kampong Bukit Asu, in the mountains, where they taught the children there a thing or two about brushing teeth and maintaining good oral health.
Snaking their way through the rugged mountain path in a four-wheel drive, students and teachers from the Tzu Chi University in Taiwan are paying a visit to a remote indigenous tribe, Kampong Bukit Asu in Penang, Malaysia. Donning Taiwan's indigenous clothing, the visitors perform Taiwan's indigenous sound and dance to bond with the residents. Not forgetting the purpose of this trip, the students and teachers get to work, breaking into task groups to distribute toothbrush and toothpaste to every child here and help them brush up on their personal hygiene skills, despite the language barrier.
I pulled him with his own hands and put the toothbrush in his mouth. Though I'm not sure if they understood, I've certainly felt the sincerity in their eyes.
Led by volunteers, next the students and teachers go on a door-to-door visit, delivering daily necessities to those in need here.
Actually, I feel that they're quite content. They don't think that their lives are not good enough or are bad. I treat them like our own family. We don't feel like we're from different ethnic groups. We can still be very close.
The students and teachers will bring home with them special and exciting experiences from this one-week learning adventure in Malaysia.
In the United States, each year between December to March, Tzu Chi holds mobile dental clinic every Thursday and Friday nights for homeless people in Los Angeles' East San Gabriel Valley. Although tooth cleaning, extraction, and filling are not complicated procedures, the cost of treatment is something that the underprivileged people simply cannot afford. In our next story, the dental cases varied from getting new dentures for patients who have lost all their teeth to helping a homeless man who used super glue to hold his dentures together get a new set of strong teeth. Team of medical staff work hand in hand with a clear goal to help alleviate the suffering and bring love to warm the hearts of those in need.
For most people, toothache may be unbearable. Here at the East San Gabriel Valley Homeless Shelter in Los Angeles of the United States, Tzu Chi regularly holds free clinics to care for the homeless people. As time is limited during these nighttime clinics, these dentists always try to help as many people as possible.
So your teeth?
Patient Gary has no money to fix his dentures and used super glue to hold them. Unwilling to see the man suffer, Dr. Lai fixed the broken part in just one night.
If he's not going to chew anything hard, this should last for another few years.
On the other hand, Dr. Zhen decided to give homeless man Mike new dentures as he has lost nearly all of his teeth. On top of that, Mike is also paralyzed from the waist down due to an illness 6 months ago. While the two dentists work hand in hand to care for the homeless people's oral hygiene, the hairdressers are also available to provide free haircuts. In this cold weather, Tzu Chi's love and support warm the hearts of those in need.
Okay, Mike, see you next week.
Moving to Taiwan, the Taichung Tzu Chi General Hospital, which we have been reporting on in the past week, has a thoughtful mobile tea service that provides healthy drinks to patients and visitors free of charge. However, since all tea is donated, supplies are not stable. One Tzu Chi volunteer, Qiu Qi-cai, made sure that shortages were a thing of the past when he decided to sponsor the purchase of 25 kilos of barley and 5 kilos of cassia-tora seeds a month for the hospital. If you're around the area, don't forget to stop by for a cup of Qiu Qi-cai's fresh tea. Tzu Chi volunteer Qiu Qi-cai is serving freshly made tea with both hands, a way for him to show respect to others.
Because the volunteers are very friendly, this tea tastes particularly sweet.
Qiu Qi-cai's marvelous blend of barley and cassia-tora seeds in the tea has generated an enthusiastic response.
Barley tea is good for overall health, and cassia-tora seeds are good for the eyes. This tea won't cause any problems for visitors or patients, and in fact will help them.
Around a year ago, when Qiu learned about the unstableness of the tea supply in the hospital's mobile tea service, he volunteered to take on the responsibility of providing 25 kilos of barley and 5 kilos of cassia-tora seeds a month, all from his own pockets.
My son has grown up now, so I have more free time. This is not a big expense. It's something we can do for the people that come here.
With everyone's well-being as his top concern, Qiu turns to his good friend Chen Ganbing, a tea supplier, for professional advice. Also kind at heart, Chen not only makes zero profits on the barley and cassia-tora seeds he sells to Qiu, he sometimes even throws an extra as a way of donation.
Seeing people doing good deeds, I was inspired to join Tzu Chi. I haven't done a lot of volunteer work, so when I have a chance to help, I do it.
With the opportunity to contribute with Qiu Qi-cai, Chen Ganbing is also bringing the good influence to the people back home.
We really respect his work with Tzu Chi. Anything involving Tzu Chi, we are behind him 100%.
From friends to business partners to Tzu Chi volunteers, Qiu Qi-cai and Chen Ganbing are cultivating their blessings together on the Bodhisattva path. On this day, January 31st, At the close of World War II, Germany was split into the East and West. On this day in 1971, East Germany allowed 10 telephone lines to be opened between East and West Berlin. Finally, in 1990, Germany's two sides were reunified after some 40 years of separation. Taiwan's official report on hantavirus was first released on this day in 1996. The report showed that among the infected individuals, 11 had been working in a port area. In 2001, the first case of an endemic hantavirus infection was discovered, once again calling attention to the importance of thorough environmental hygiene. The heavily polluted Angke River in Indonesia's Jakarta flooded after days of heavy rain in 2002, displacing several thousand people. Tzu Chi mobilized volunteers to the flooded areas and carried out a comprehensive aid plan that included water pumping and purification, sanitization, free clinics, and the construction of a new housing community for the evacuees. Tzu Chi's care for the local people continues to this day. On January 31st of 2002, Indonesia's capital Jakarta suffered a terrible flood that left tens of thousands homeless. As local Tzu Chi volunteers carried out post-disaster relief, they arrived at Angke River, where the squatter settlement suffered heavily. In hopes of finding a permanent solution to flooding and helping the residents, the volunteers decided to relocate the residents by building them a new housing community and clean up the rubbish-clogged river. With the support of the Indonesian government, over 100 tons of waste were removed from the river, and finally, Angke River seemed to have lost its nickname as the Black Heart of Jakarta. We return to the Indonesian capital once again to see if the river has remained as pure and pristine as it was 10 years ago. In Indonesia's capital, Jakarta, squatter settlements used to occupy both banks of the Angke River. Refuse clogged the dark, turbid water, which was also used for all the squatters' water needs. Then 10 years ago, in hopes of ending regular flooding, Tzu Chi teamed up with the Indonesian government to clean up the river. With homes built atop of the river and debris removed, water could once again flow freely. In celebration, a dragon boat race was held. However, 10 years later, it is a different scene traveling down the Angke River. Here upstream of the Angke River, we can still see an amazing amount of trash. The government dispatches a cleaning crew here every day. However, it seems to have little impact. Stench and filth have found their way back to the river, which cannot seem to shake off its nickname, the Black Heart of Jakarta.
The government's cleaning crew says they are not frustrated by the seemingly unending trash problem, for otherwise they'd be jobless. As well, they can recycle the garbage for extra cash.
Back on the land, markets by the riverbanks produce a lot of trash daily. Though there is regular garbage collection here, perhaps due to the volume of trash produced, people freely discard their refuse, which then ends up in the river. Residents on either side of the riverbanks take this wooden raft to cross the river, a river filled with trash. Some of the refuse makes its way downstream to where Tzu Chi conducted its major cleanup 10 years ago. Though the problem is not as bad here, still the river has lost some of its former glory.
In terms of the litter problem, well, many people need to be properly educated. To this end, we have devised an incentive program. For example, if you clean up around yourself once a week, for more than 4 times a month, we will give you a bag of rice.
Unfortunately, some bad habits are simply too hard to quit. Many locals are still not receptive to the idea of conservation. Here, an average person produces 6 kilograms of trash per day. If the garbage collection fails to discard all the trash, residents simply gather them in a pile and burn them. Tzu Chi is also teaching residents how to turn their food waste into organic fertilizer through composting.
We're slowly working with them. We also have a composting program, which teaches them how to use their trash as fertilizer.
Now, residents on either bank of the Angke River no longer get their water from the river. Instead, they use groundwater. However, health hazards from waste contamination remain.
The groundwater is not up to standard. Set it aside for a few days, and you can see worms inside.
Another problem caused by pumping groundwater 3 to 4 meters beneath the ground is land subsidence. Although refuse can still be seen in this part of the Angke River, it is still a lot better than what it was 10 years ago. However, it is also evident that residents here still have a littering problem, which may take quite some time to correct. We have just seen that by cleaning up the Angke River and building residents of the informal settlements a new community does not help solve Jakarta's littering problem. Thus, local Tzu Chi volunteers have decided to tackle the problem by raising Indonesians' general environmental awareness by visiting communities to show them how to recycle. Just last week, volunteers arrived in northern Jakarta's Kapuk Mas village to hold their first conservation seminar, during which participants had a practical lesson on how to properly sort recyclables. The workshop was very well received by the residents.
In Indonesia's Jakarta, Tzu Chi volunteers are in Kapuk Mas village to teach the community about conservation and recycling.
Through recycling, we can help minimize harm done to our planet and help preserve our environment.
At the village square, residents are happy to do their part.
Ada perbedaan. Dengan ada komunitas seperti ini, kita lebih semangat sih.
Before the event, volunteers had already given each family here an informative flyer.
This area floods easily, so we ask the residents to refrain from littering. We also let them know that through recycling, we can prolong the life of our resources.
Many households bring their recyclables here to be sorted. A large pile quickly diminishes with proper sorting. With proper guidance, more Indonesians will surely join the cause to better not only their environment, but safeguard our planet as well.
The next story takes us back to Taiwan. Recently, Kaohsiung's Home for the Disabled organized a fun drawing activity for its residents. Many handicapped students were able to express themselves through their crayons and paintbrushes. The staff then compiled the pictures into a booklet and made it available to the public.
海浪画在哪里？你画海浪要画哪里？这个地方啊，这个地方是什么？
Helping cerebral palsy patients Jingsen to draw is no easy task. A simple movement of holding a brush is already making him sweat.
你最会画什么？海浪哦。
大家都听得懂哎，好棒哎！
Just a simple compliment puts a smile to Jingsen's face. Despite the troubled speech and physical disability, through drawings we catch a glimpse of their inner world.
太阳、螃蟹、
你最喜欢画什么？
公鸡。
After they finished drawing, we felt it would be a pity not to make them into a notebook and let society get to know our students.
The colorful and fine drawings are all creative artworks of these handicapped students. Kaohsiung's Home for the Disabled has compiled these pictures into a booklet to help us get to know them better.
Staying in Taiwan, but we go to Pingdong to meet a pair of look-alike volunteers, Chen Jing and Xu Jingshou, who serve at the Genesis Social Welfare Foundation. To give a bit of background to the volunteers, Chen Jing lost her husband several years ago to a heart attack and couldn't come to terms with her loss. And Xu Jingshou was a successful businesswoman until she fell into debt after being a guarantor for a close friend and subsequently became depressed. Today, however, both women have put their past behind them and found a new meaning in life through volunteer work.
At 8:30 a.m. every morning, this pair of twin-like volunteers, Chen Jing and Xu Jingshou, arrive at the Genesis Social Welfare Foundation in Pingdong, Taiwan, to help sort the donated items. Both women have a life story of their own.
My husband suddenly passed away from heart attack. I was really upset, and at home every day I just kept on weeping.
The pain of losing her beloved husband almost led Chen to taking her own life. Luckily, by coming to volunteer and seeing those less fortunate, Chen was able to overcome her grief.
Upstairs, seeing those patients in a vegetative state, I thought to myself that I'm truly blessed. I'm still healthy today and I can even do volunteer work.
Meanwhile, Xu Jingshou was once a successful businesswoman until she got into debt from being a guarantor for a close friend. Since the incident, she fell into depression and couldn't trust anyone anymore.
For 7 to 8 years, I couldn't come to terms with what had happened to me, and when I saw people, I hid. One day when I went past here and saw that they needed volunteers, I walked in.
Finding new values in life through serving others, this pair of twin-like volunteers is no longer pessimistic, but treasures their blessings in life.
In the next story, we meet a teenage girl who lost her hearing when she was only 2.5 years old, but has achieved things even normal people fail to do. 14-year-old Chen Ziying's father recalled how the news of his daughter's condition many years ago shook him to the core, since he himself was a teacher at a school for the hearing impaired. However, the whole family stood together through thick and thin to help Ziying rehabilitate. Even though Ziying still cannot hear sounds on certain frequencies, she plays the piano and table tennis, and in 2009 she even made the national Taiwan swimming team for the Summer Deaf Olympics. Her fingers like butterflies that frolic across the keyboard. Chen Ziying plays the piano effortlessly even though she is hearing impaired. The 14-year-old was diagnosed with hearing loss at the tender age of 2.5, but was already too old for effective treatment. The news came as a shock for her father, who taught at a school for the hearing impaired.
In the years of teaching children with special needs, I met students with different types of hearing loss, so I knew what their lives are like. I was dumbstruck when I found out that my child was hearing impaired. I almost couldn't deal with it.
Even though Chen Wentong did what he could to find treatment for his daughter, the girl still couldn't recover her ability to hear high-pitched sounds. Nevertheless, Mr. Chen hasn't given up and keeps on speaking to her to help her get the sounds right.
It took her a lot of efforts to say those 2 sentences, because a lot of work has gone into delivering those words.
Taking Ziying for piano, table tennis, and even swimming lessons, Chen Wentong strives to give her a normal life because she is the pride and joy of his life. We end the show in Richmond, Canada, where volunteers recently launched a fundraiser in partnership with a local hospital to canvass money to help expand its emergency room and to buy paramedical emergency equipment for young patients. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for watching Dai Headlines. Goodbye.